Management buy-in. There are many networking issues, and they include, when we will talk about them, why management needs to buy into these, measuring the effectiveness of communications, managing existing network management software, controlling data communications and securities, improving the operational efficiency of networks, and regulatory barriers. With regulatory barriers come that it is a growing part of the world and changing. Government regulations are huge and growing, and we will talk about that later as well. With management buy-in, measuring the effectiveness of communications. Management needs to buy into network security due to communication technology. Businesses are no longer willing to wait for information to be delivered via the mail, but need and expect it immediately in order to keep their processes going. Electronic transmissions of messages and documents are widely used today, and using email systems and type of network securities, they can obviate the need for extensive travel and meetings. Communication networks can be used for a number of purposes. One of the most common, like I said, is the electronic transmission of messages and documents. These include email, voicemail, fund transfers, internet access. Email allows for a broadcast number of recipients simultaneously. Networks can be used to facilitate virtual meetings and virtual teams and work groups in which the members are geographically, organizationally dispersed, and members interact primarily through communication technology rather than face-to-face. There are tons of companies today that are global, worldwide, and they must communicate with people 24/7 on a daily basis throughout different parts of the world. So when you have people in different time zones, sometimes their sleeping patterns are off, but virtual groups and messages allow for conference calls to be used. It just makes it a lot easier. Management buy-in. Managing existing network management software is also critical. This improves networking technology, designing and selling networking hardware. I can relate to this one because in my last job, we were transitioning into going to a cloud-based server, changing new type of handheld technology that our sales reps used, and the biggest thing is managing this existing software that we had, because we want to keep it up to date, because we wanted to end up selling it back so we could end up getting money out of it. So if we kept it up to date, then we'd get our money back. But if you don't manage your existing network, then that gives you an opportunity for breaches in security systems or failures. Management buy-in. Management also has to deal with controlling data communication and securities. International networks give more hackers more chances to compromise corporate networks and misuse data than national networks. Challenges in global data and going global with data communications. The growth of supply chain systems shows that globalization is essential to the long-run competitive success of corporations around the world. Managing a global organization requires the ability to communicate between and coordinate the activities of geographically dispersed units. Such communication requires a data communications network that can span the globe. A global computer network can provide both internal and external benefits to the organization. Internally, a global network can facilitate communications among subunits, thereby improving management control. It can also save time by speeding up the exchange of data and can reduce clerical costs by limiting the need to re-enter data. Indeed, global networks can provide significant cost saving and operational efficiencies, which is why controlling data communications and securities management must make this a priority and a concern and buy into these type of network securities. Improving the operational efficiency of networks is also critical to management. Managing the operational efficiency of networks is still an issue today, and like I said earlier, we will talk about Cisco. This is where we're going to talk about Cisco. Cisco Systems is an example of an organization that has successfully incorporated networking technology into its business model Cisco systems. A supply chain network is a network of organizations with specialized activities that work together, usually in a sequential manner, to produce, distribute, sell, or service goods. Supply chain systems support entire networks of manufacturers and distributors, transportation and logistics firms, banks, insurance companies, brokers, warehouses, freight forwarders, all directly or indirectly attempting to make sure the right goods and services are available at the right price when and where customers want them. So with a supply chain like with Cisco, customers, internal people that work in the system, which would be management, network professionals, and outside partners, all play a huge role in the supply chain. Cisco emerged as a world leader in networking technology by designing and selling networking hardware and network management software to their other enterprises for use in creating intranets and connecting to the internet. Cisco's success has been attributed to its catching the internet wave in the mid-1990s. Cisco's created a new form of supply chain to link customers, manufacturers, partners, internal partners, and information technology. This use of network technology allowed Cisco to cultivate and leverage close relationships with other organizations in order to provide its customers with the products that they need without having to hire their full range of experts or facilities that would be required for them to provide the same range of services themselves. The members of Cisco's supply chain, in a sense, were partners, including manufacturers, assemblers, resellers, transports, distributors. Cisco is huge, and managing their operational efficiency and their supply chain makes a huge impact and has a positive economic impact for their company. There are also many regulatory barriers. If you go into any job today and ask any people working in network professionals, one of the major issues right now is regulatory barriers. The government is coming in and has harsher regulations and more policies that every company needs to abide by. So managing global data communications network in an environment of diverse international telecommunication regulations is huge. There are significant funds and efforts needed to be devoted to resolve these regulatory barriers. In many countries, public telecommunications authorities were formed to control telecommunication networks and establish communication regulations to protect or subsidize national interests. There are also significant funds and efforts needed to devote to resolve, like I was talking about here, the top 20 issues facing network managers. I'm just going to list a couple are improving operational efficiency, dealing with different networks, controlling data communication security, managing network infrastructure across countries, managing telecommunication professionals, and some we already talked about, like hiring network professionals. All these deal with regulation barriers, which is why management has to buy into security policies. In closing, there are networks. Networks are a major part of daily communication and operations. Managers must